Hi again. This is your Serial Cynic. And let me just get my microphone adjusted here. Haven't done too many of these videos of late. Well, where I'm actually talking. But something prompted this video that I'm about to do right now. Something prompted it earlier this morning. I'll get to that in a minute. Do you remember not too long ago in the distant past? I guess when you talk about technology, you have to say distant. Where your mailbox would be full of junk mail. You come home and you just found little magazines, papers, flyers, newspaper type things, filling up your mailbox. And it was just junk mail. We all were familiar with it. We all got it. And pretty much we all knew how we ended up getting it. You went to a store, you went somewhere, and you gave them your mailing address or something along that line for them to send you coupons, for them to send you certain things. But along with that, you got mail from all sorts of other advertisers. Some things you looked at was like, oh, that's interesting. You might look into it. Other things you just toss in the garbage. But some advertiser somewhere thought it worth their while to send you that information that perhaps maybe on that particular day or someday coming up in the future, you may need their services. And even if you throw it out, they probably would send you another one that's like, oh, there they are again. I needed this. Oh, this place is advertising new tires for X amount. This place here is advertising lawn mowing service. Or this place is advertising carpet cleaning. And this side of junk mail made it to us. Well, today, junk mail is making a comeback. They're coming out. They're looking more lavish. Nice placards and everything looking really nice and crisp and visually catching. But another thing that is actually going on in our digital world today is that junk mail is coming to us online. Think about it. Junk mail is coming to you online, which leads to what I wanted to talk about. This morning, I received a video from one of my friends. And the video was titled, as confirmed by CNN News concerning Facebook. On the video, there's this guy. He shows you how Facebook Messenger apparently opens you up, if you have it on your phone, opens you to all sorts of privacy breaches, where they can go in and they can see different things on your phone and so forth. So when you see something like that, then he goes through actually, and he shows and he demonstrates how this is done. So I try to follow his steps and everything, and we didn't arrive at the same places. He showed items on there where it says, apparently it says, I couldn't read what he had on there, but it says that by using Messenger, we can use your camera at any time, we can use your microphone at any time, and we can just make unsolicited, calls to anyone in your contact. So again, I went through what he went through in terms of clicking on what he told me to click on and going over to app info and trying to find this information that he saw. Well, I didn't come across that. Now, I'm not trying to say the guy was lying or making anything up, but I just didn't come across what he mentioned. And then I happened to look and realize there seems to be some confusion here. And I'm not sitting here and I'm going to say I'm defending Facebook or Facebook Messenger, but I think some of the hype or the paranoia, I should say, is over the top. And here's what I mean. When you use an app like Facebook, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything, at least not monetarily upfront. But it's a free service. That's what it appears like. But is it really free? There are developers that Facebook has to pay. There are employees that they have to pay. You're not paying them any money for using their service. So it's being paid in some form or fashion. And one of the ways that it's being paid is just like how it was in the past. Just like you see on television, advertisers. These advertisers come to them and say, hey, we would like to go ahead and advertise to your audience. And we'll pay you a certain amount of money if you allow me to advertise this and that to your audience here on Facebook. So what happens is, when you open up that app, Facebook or Facebook Messenger, and what has increasingly happened is you have these various third-party apps that come into play. Now, Facebook, I believe, is going to be doing a better job at vetting and making sure they can see what's going on. Like, for example, YouTube. Let me use YouTube as an example. A few years back, YouTube was in a position where anybody and their grandmother could just basically come on YouTube, create a channel, post any old bit of nonsense, and immediately start monetizing their channel. YouTube realized that there were a bunch of trolls and a bunch of bad-minded people showing up on there and trying to make money on their platform. Once they noticed this, they said, enough of this. So what they've done now is you have to have 10,000 views or more to your videos or video in order for you to be able to start monetizing. In doing so, they feel that, well, if you really want to make money through YouTube, or you really want to be YouTube famous, or you really have a message to put out there on YouTube and you want to reach people, they figure, well, put up your videos, gruel it out for 10,000 views. And if you stick around long enough, then we could go ahead, by then they can assess what you're putting up, and they can make some sense out of what you're trying to do, and they can determine whether or not they need to keep you around on YouTube. Well, Facebook is probably going to come to a similar position, because what has happened with these third-party apps, these apps that tell you, hey, this is how you can look, this is how you're going to look in 100 years, this is what your baby would look like, this is what you would look like if you were white, this is what you would look like if you were black, all those type of apps. They come in and they ask you certain questions, and in certain permissions, I should say. And when you give those permissions, these apps could possibly have some not too well-intentioned things in mind in terms of basically selling your data or whatever information you grant them access to. Does this have something to do with Facebook? Well, you could say yeah, because they're the ones that's allowing them to do this, and it all blew up in their face. But did Facebook go out there and say, yeah, we're going to go ahead and let these people come in so they can grab information from people? Now, here's something where I think the paranoia comes in and where I think some misunderstanding comes in. And one of the reasons, again, I wanted to do this video, which I failed to mention, is the fact that the gentleman who was doing this video was going on basically saying that Facebook can go in, or Messenger can go in, and they can basically snap your picture. They can take photos of you. They can look through your camera and look into your home and see what's going on. They can listen through your microphone and listen to what's going on in your house and so forth. Is something like that possible? I won't deny that it is. But is Facebook really engaging in something like that? I doubt it strongly. These third-party apps, that's another story. But basically, this is what goes on. Some apps cannot work without your permissions. I should say a lot of them can't. You basically grant them permissions. And Facebook was careful to mention that it's a little bit easier on the iPhone for Facebook to control certain things, whereby on Android phones, it's a different story. Because on Android phones, especially nowadays, every step of the way, they ask you for your permission to allow certain things to happen. Okay? But some apps need certain things on your phone in order for it to work. For example, let's use Messenger. Say you want to take a picture and you want to be able to take that picture and upload it or send it off to someone like immediately, right away. The way that you're able to do that in Messenger is Messenger has a camera feature, right? You can snap the photo, and then it has a feature where you can upload that photo to your Facebook contacts. So I can take a picture of my son, for example, that I may want to send to my wife. I snap it in Facebook Messenger, and right within Facebook Messenger, so I snap it within Facebook Messenger, and right in Facebook Messenger, I can just find her name, press the little up arrow, and the picture is sent to her instantly. I don't have to come out of Messenger, go find the photo, download the photo, then pull up Messenger, then take the photo, drag it over into Messenger, and then send it. That's the long way around. So, in order to do this, Messenger, of course, is going to ask you, or I should say Android or the Google is going to ask you, when you're setting Messenger up, do you want to allow Messenger to have access to your camera? Access to your camera that you can use your camera within Messenger. If you say no, then guess what? You can't use your camera within Messenger. It is going to ask you, do you want to grant Messenger access to your contacts? And when you do so, you're doing this because if you don't have the contacts in Messenger, well, you'll have to come out, find a contact somewhere else, like I guess on your Facebook, and go ahead and send it to them over there and go the long way around to get it done. Whereby, if you grant access, then those contacts are made available in Messenger. That all you have to do is just type in the first letter or whatever, or the people that you frequently send things to just instantly pop up because they're in Messenger. Those are your contacts. Another situation is like your GPS. Say you're out somewhere and you have no idea where you are in terms of address, but you want to get to a certain location. You turn on GPS, which of course is going to ask, again, an Android phone is going to ask, do you want to grant permission to this app or whatever you're using to know where your location is at? Well, guess what? You don't know where you are. But Google Maps can tell you where you are. GPS can tell you where you're standing on this planet. And it basically says you're located here because I am using your phone as a locator, and you granted me access to let me know where you are so that when you're putting down the information to where you want to get to, I can direct you to where you're going. If you do not grant it the location where you are and you don't have an address to where you are, the app then becomes moot. There's nothing it can do. It just knows what you type in, where you want to go, but you have no idea where you are to type it in manually. And you did not turn on your GPS, and you did not grant it permission to check your location. Okay? So you can have situations like that. So that only works for you in those type of situations. All right? Here's another example. What if you're going through on your phone and you see this cute little app that says, hey, I can make phone calls for you. And in your phone calls, I can, to whoever, or basically receiving phone calls or whatever, you can put a certain ringtone to a particular name. So, for example, my son, I can have it where the app says, your son is calling. I can have it to an annoying cousin where I can say, hey, your annoying cousin is calling. So if I'm in another room and my phone rings, I know who is calling. It's not just one ring for everyone. I can tell just by what the app is telling me in terms of the person, the sound that it's making or the message that it's giving, I can tell who's calling. Well, if you're going to use an app like that, clearly the app is going to need access to your contacts. So when you download that app on an Android phone, it will probably ask you, do you want to grant access to this app to get your contacts, your contact list? Guess what? That's the whole purpose if you wanted to download that app, so it could go ahead and give you an address book, a cute address book, or whatever the case might be. It looks colorful, looks pretty, or it has certain unique messages assigned to certain names that you choose. If you don't give it access to your contacts, well, then guess what? Then the app makes no sense for you to download. So when it comes to these things, some apps need your permissions and need certain things on your phone to make the app useful, that it can work as it's designed. But the fear that some people have, they see these things popping up and they don't put two and two together. And the two and two that they do put together, it's, oh my God, Facebook just advertised to me. How does it know? And oh, Amazon just advertised to me. How did it know? You know what? Someone is listening to me through my phone. Not realizing that it's just like the old-fashioned junk mail. When you walk into a store, when you go into an app, and you put down your email address or you put down your phone number, these things go across different platforms. For example, you give Amazon your phone number that you've been using from since whenever, or you give them an email address, but let's just say your phone number. That phone number, because Amazon has partners, people that they partner with, all of a sudden, Amazon sees your phone number pop up over at Walmart, for example. The same phone number. And it's like, well, hey, Serial Cynic, he ordered some weights from Walmart. From Walmart. His phone number popped up. Well, guess what? I am Amazon. I happen to see that phone number. Well, guess what I'm going to do? When he sits down in front of his computer, I'm going to pop up all sorts of other exercise equipment that he might be interested in. And this is how they do these things in the background. And then, just like with the old-fashioned junk mail, sometimes there's a selling of your information. And what it means by information, it's like, hey, you know what? Serial Cynic bought this. This is his address. This is his phone number. This is his email address. So those partners with Amazon or whoever they may be, they look up and they see your information pop up at another company. And it's like, is that what he's interested in? Well, hey, guess what? I want to advertise this stuff to him too. This is how it basically works. At least when there is integrity involved. They're not out there basically saying, well, you know what? Hey, he uploaded a video. It's kind of risque. And, you know, we're going to go ahead and peep into his phone and grab that video and put it all over the internet. That's not exactly how it works. Again, can something like that happen? Of course it can. But is that what's really going on? I strongly doubt it. So I don't believe that you put your phone down and you're walking past in your boxers or your panties and all of a sudden someone at Facebook is looking and like, oh, look in there. Look what's going on. Let me snap a picture of that. We can put ourselves in enough trouble on our own by the photos we have on here that we share. You rarely never see Facebook or Amazon or any of them putting your naked pictures out there. But your ex-girlfriend, your ex-boyfriend, a co-worker, a political rival, yeah, that's more or less likely what will happen. So when people are freaking out saying that, hey, they're listening to my microphone, my microwave is listening to me, my oven, I think, took my picture. I think we're going overboard with the paranoia when it comes to stuff like that. Now, as for me, I have my phone. I don't really have much of anything to hide. Heck, I'm here showing my face off on Facebook. I mean on YouTube. I have photos of myself on Facebook. I'm not really hiding from anybody. I'm not exactly the most private person, at least when it comes to my face. So I'm not terribly worried about stuff like that. In my permissions on my Android phone, this is an iPhone by the way, but in the positions of my on my Android phone, yes, I grant them access to my camera. I grant them access to my microphone. My phone contacts, not really, but there may be times when I may have to do it for a particular app that I may like. If I don't want to grant it access on my Android phone, I simply say no. Then I might not be able to use that app. Well, okay, I just live without it. No one is picking your hand up and telling you to download a particular app. And if you remember, most of these apps that you get from the Play Store and so forth, a lot of them are free. They say free. But when you say free on there, Just remember, when you download that app may require or request of you certain things that you may consider, well, private. No one is putting a gun to your head and telling you to download the app, but you think it's cute. Or you think it's handy. You think it's helpful. If you think that way, then understand that somebody has to get paid for developing that app or whatever the case might be. And so the way that they do it, some apps may go ahead and sell you information because someone is paying them to get your information. And by getting your information, then that third party or fourth party or fifth party can advertise to you. That's the world we live in. As one friend of mine says, content, whatever you put up or whatever you put out, content is currency in today's world. That's the way a lot of people out there making their money. Information. We live in an information age. We live in a quick gratifying age. We want all the latest toys. We want to be in the know. We want to know all these type of things. And there are people out there willing to give that to you. And it may come at a price in terms of some of your privacy. You can delete all those apps. You could just have a basic phone. I don't have to worry about anything. But you have to understand, some of these apps do make our lives much easier. Now I can sit down here and find out, where can I find this? I can call up Siri. Or I can say, Google, hey, find this for me. Piece of cake, right? You don't have to really get lost anymore. GPS can get you out of a mess. Now you can know who's calling because you have an app downloaded on your phone, so you know it's your son and not a telemarketer. Or someone looking for you because they're looking to get some money from you. Yeah, we have caller IDs and all that type of stuff. But you're in another room somewhere, you can know if you want to break your neck to run to your phone or not because you downloaded an app that lets you know who's calling. There are apps that can tell you how many stairs you climbed, how much calories you burned. Some of these things make our lives much easier, but again, you might be sacrificing some privacy. If you don't want to sacrifice any, don't download the app. If you think that Messenger is listening in on you, well, remove it from your phone if you are that paranoid. Just don't have it. Some people don't feel the need to keep in touch with anybody. Some people don't feel the need to share anything. But again, we live in an information age. The world has changed. I don't have to sit down here anymore and let me go take a picture of my son. Let me go to the post office, put it in the mail, send it off to mom. Hopefully mom can get it. I can sit right down, snap a picture, upload it to WhatsApp, upload it to Messenger, there to my mother in seconds. Or I can simply just go ahead and say, hey, mom, here's a video. Here's your grandson. Easy. But it may come with a sacrifice of some privacy. It all depends on how much privacy you want to hide, how much of it you want to keep. Some people don't really care. I don't have millions of dollars, so they can look into my bank account and do whatever they want to do. Not worried about those type of things. But for some other people, it's a concern. And I could understand. But if you're concerned about that and you see these things are free, just don't download them. If you're worried that they're listening on you, watching your sex life through your phone, or whatever the case might be, just don't do it. Okay? Simple. Anyway, I might have been disjointed with this because there was a lot of distractions around me. But I hope I made some kind of sense. So until the next video, I'm going to check out. It's the weekend. So let me get going, call it a day, and enjoy the hell out of this weekend. You guys take care, okay? Your Serial Cynic. Bye.